At just 5 years old, a boy began sketching strange places he had never seen. He cried for people he had never met and described a death he never lived. What started as childhood imagination turned into a real investigation, and what they uncovered was chilling beyond belief. A child's first strange words. Ryan's story began when he was just 4 years old. His mother first noticed something strange during bedtime. Instead of asking for a toy or a story, Ryan would cry and say, "I want to go home." But home, according to him, was not the house he lived in. He began talking about strange things, vintage cars, old Hollywood, and people his parents had never mentioned. He once told his mother, "I used to be someone else. I lived in a big house and wore fancy clothes." At first, she thought it was just imagination, but the details kept coming. He described a black and white phone, a spiral staircase, and a house near the ocean. What caught her attention most was how emotional he became. These weren't random stories. They felt like memories, and they were always told with the same tone, not playful, not confused, certain. Something deeper was happening inside her son, the boy who remembered too much. As Ryan turned 5, his stories became more specific and more unsettling. He began describing scenes that no one in his family recognized. A big white house with red curtains, a fancy car with a long hood, and a man named Senator 5. He said he used to live in New York City, near a tall building with flashing signs. His mother, now documenting everything, grew increasingly alarmed. Ryan even remembered the street names, ones that were real, but decades outdated. One night, he whispered, "I had a daughter. She cried when I died." His tone was too sincere, too heavy for a child. He claimed to remember being in a hospital room, then a strange darkness, then waking up as Ryan. His parents ruled out TV or books. Ryan hadn't seen any of this before. It was as if someone else's life was bleeding through his own, piece by terrifying piece. Photos from the past. To test Ryan's claims, his mother found a library book filled with photos of old Hollywood actors and movie scenes. She placed it on the table without any hint or guidance. Ryan flipped through it silently until he stopped. His tiny finger pointed at one photo. "That's me," he said. The man he pointed to wasn't famous, just a background actor named Marty Martyn. But Ryan knew things about him no child possibly could. He named the man's house style, the kind of car he drove, and even mentioned the beach trips Marty had taken with his family. Marty had died in 1964, over 40 years before Ryan was born. But Ryan's descriptions of Marty's personal life were accurate, verified through public records and even forgotten family letters. The resemblance in detail was chilling. He knew too much, far more than coincidence would allow. That photo book changed everything and confirmed that something truly bizarre was happening. Solving his own death? Ryan didn't just recall how Marty lived, he remembered how he died. He claimed Marty didn't simply pass from old age. One night, Ryan described a hotel room, an argument, and then a sudden pain in his chest. "I was hit," he said softly. "It wasn't natural. I was supposed to go home, but I didn't make it." This shook his parents. Official records claimed Marty Martyn had died of a cerebral hemorrhage, but Ryan was insistent. He had been killed. He even described the smell of the room, the way the window overlooked a neon sign, and how someone stood over him as he faded away. These weren't the words of a typical child. When investigators compared his details to old reports, some matched. Others were impossible to verify. But the consistency of his story and the emotion in his voice left everyone unsettled. Was Ryan not just recalling a past life, but reliving a cold case? Experts left speechless. Dr. Jim Tucker, a child psychologist at the University of Virginia, began studying Ryan's case. He had documented hundreds of similar stories, but Ryan's was one of the strongest he had ever seen. Over 55 separate details Ryan provided were confirmed to be true about Marty Martyn's life. Some were obscure. Even Marty's surviving relatives had forgotten them. Tucker interviewed Ryan several times and found no signs of mental illness, media influence, or coaching. Everything Ryan said came naturally, often without prompting. Even skeptics found themselves struggling to explain the case away. Ryan's memories came with emotion. He wept when talking about Marty's daughter and smiled when recalling the ocean. This wasn't fantasy. It felt lived. Documentaries, news outlets, and academic journals covered the case, but no one had an answer. Ryan's story had crossed from mystery into something more. A genuine scientific enigma that left even the most rational minds searching for explanations. The fading connection. As Ryan entered his teenage years, the memories that once haunted his childhood began to slip away. It happened slowly, first forgetting the names, then the images, until one day he could no longer describe the house with red curtains or recall the daughter he used to mention with tears in his eyes. His mother noted the change with quiet sadness. She had seen him live through two lives at once, and now it seemed the second life was finally letting go. Yet, something lingered. Ryan developed a deep passion for film and storytelling, just as Marty Martyn had worked in the movie business. He often felt drawn to Los Angeles, even though he had never been. When asked about his past life now, Ryan simply says, "It felt real, but it's gone." Whatever bridge once connected him to Marty's world had vanished, leaving behind only echoes and an unshakable curiosity. Still, no answers. To this day, no one can fully explain Ryan's story. His family had no connection to Hollywood, no financial reason to lie, and no way to coach the specific, verifiable facts Ryan once spoke of in vivid detail. Psychologists who have studied reincarnation point to his case as one of the clearest modern examples. Skeptics argue it could be an extreme case of subconscious learning, or perhaps the power of suggestion. But when researchers tried to match his information with anything available online or in books, they found nothing Ryan could have accessed. The details came too early, too raw, too deep. Even now, Ryan's case is studied by universities and featured in documentaries. But the more it's explored, the more questions emerge. Is it proof of life after death, or a mystery no science can crack? Either way, Ryan's memories may fade, but his story continues to haunt anyone who hears it. The mystery that refuses to die. Even after Ryan's memories faded, his case continued to spark debates among the scientists, spiritual leaders, and skeptics around the world. Books were written, documentaries produced, and thousands of parents with similar stories began reaching out. Ryan became a symbol of something bigger, an unsolved question about consciousness, memory, and the possibility of rebirth. The University of Virginia's research department still lists his case as one of the most credible in their reincarnation files. But despite the attention, no one can agree on what really happened. Was it reincarnation? A psychic imprint? A glitch in time? The mystery remains unsolved, and perhaps That's what makes it so powerful. Long after Ryan stopped speaking of Marty Martyn, the world kept asking, how could a child know so much about a man who died before he was born? The facts cannot be denied. And that's what makes this story unforgettable. Ryan's memories may have vanished, but the questions he left behind remain. Was it a forgotten life, or something far more profound? If a child can remember the past so clearly, what else might lie beyond our understanding? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more stories that defy explanation.